Hey there. I'm excited to announce this to you today. This is what you've been waiting for in your spiritual quest. This is something I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm finally ready to announce it that it's ready to go. It's the Grief to Growth Community Circle. Now, this is a sanctuary where like-minded souls are united in their journey through grief and towards personal transformation. It's more than just a place. It's a beginning. It's a commitment to growth and understanding. Here you're finding not just a community, but you're entering a circle of trust and depth. You're going to engage with interactive coursework. You'll dive into exclusive podcast episodes and partake in discussions that illuminate the path from mourning to empowerment. This is a realm where every question is honored and every individual's journey is validated. To be part of this exclusive circle, visit us at grieftogrowth.com/community or look for the chat icon at the bottom of every page on the main website. Remember that entry is a privilege because I want to ensure that every member is as dedicated and genuine as you are. You must apply to join, but the journey within is worth every step. So go ahead and join us today. Check it out, grieftogrowth.com/community, and I look forward to seeing you there.
Hi there. Welcome to Grief to Growth podcast. Your host is Brian Smith, spiritual seeker, best-selling author, grief survivor, and life coach. Brian believes that the worst tragedies of life provide the greatest opportunity for growth. Brian says he was planted, not buried, and he is here to help you grow where you've been planted by the difficulties in life. In each episode, Brian and his guests will share what has helped them to survive and thrive. It is his sincere hope this episode helps you today.
Hey everybody, this is Brian back with Grief to Growth, and today you've just got me. Today is Tuesday, September 8th. It's the day after Labor Day, and due to some scheduling things, I didn't have any live or any guest interviews for you this week. So I just want to talk to you, catch up with you on some things that have been on my mind that I want to talk about today. So first I want to talk about the I guess kind of the unrest is the way I want to put it, the unease that's going on in the country right now. I think between a lot of different factors, the coronavirus being the number one thing, which is causing economic uncertainty for a lot of us, people losing jobs, kids being out of school, kids trying to get back to school, parents figuring out now it's the day after Labor Day. Traditionally, vacationing is over and the kids are back at school. Parents are working, and parents who can't get back to work because their kids are at home have to try to figure out how they're going to do that with the kids homeschooling. So I know there's a lot of stress on a lot of people. And I just saw some statistics this morning saying that 25% of the people in the United States have actually considered suicide since the coronavirus started. The depression rate, which was, I guess, before coronavirus, is around 8-point-something%, is up to about 27%. So that's up 3 times. So we're really, all of us, under a lot of stress. And I know for the clients that I work with, a lot of times people are in grief. And when you're in grief, things can trigger you. It's kind of like a PTSD type event a lot of times. So we have these triggers, and we're all going through, stress. So that causes things like domestic, violence, I think, is up, and things of that nature. So what I want to say is, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling lonely, if you're feeling depressed, you're not alone. A lot of us feel that way, and so it's okay. And I also want to say that everything that we experience on this plane is temporary. No matter what it is we're going through, a lot of times it feels like it's going to, be with us forever. But if you think back in your life, the things that were bad that you were going through, they always had, an end at some point, and they always will have an end at some point. And I want to speak specifically to suicide, because suicidal thoughts are way up. As I said, about 25% of people have actually considered suicide. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So I'd encourage you, if you're having suicidal thoughts, if you're contemplating suicide, please reach out and get help. People there are there to want to help you. People definitely want to care and listen to you and help you get through this. So I'd say, please reach out and get help. If you know someone who you think may be suicidal, look out for them, especially people who are living alone right now. It's a very, very difficult time. And when people are alone, a lot of times that's when the suicidal thoughts come and people actually act on them. So you can imagine how it's been really exacerbated right now when people can't get out and do the things that they want to be able to do. We're all thinking, when is this going to end? It looks like there's no end in sight. It's now September. This started for us here in Ohio anyway, like mid-March. And we thought when we shut things down, we'd be going to be shut down for, maybe a month or two. Certainly by April and May, we'd be back to normal. I had conferences scheduled this year for myself personally. I was going to be doing some speaking at 3 different conferences that were going to be, live events, and all 3 got canceled. So that was disappointing for me. And we've all gone through, things. Everybody is going through something. It's affecting, students. My daughter is in grad school and she can't do classes face to face. It's affecting people who are trying to get jobs. It's affected, me personally. Again, my wife had a job that we really like, and she was working for benefits and for salary, but she was first cut back her hours, then furloughed, and then eventually laid off. So that's a situation that we're in right now in terms of our situation. So none of us is in this alone. We all need to reach out to each other and help each other. So in addition to the coronavirus, we've got the racial unrest that we're going through, which is making a lot of people on edge. And I know for several people, they feel like this is something new, something that's been being revealed or something that's just happening. I want to say, if you're one of those people, this is not new. It's being revealed maybe because of cameras and maybe because we're all sitting at home on Facebook all day long every day. But the things that are going on are nothing new. They've been going on in this country for a very long time. It's just being exposed. So between the coronavirus and the racial unrest, and again, the economic uncertainty, we've got this kind of perfect storm that's really bringing a lot of things to the surface. So let's look at this, from a different perspective. That's kind of what I do with people as a life coach, is help people to look at things from a different perspective, because really everything is how we look at it. So can we look at this as maybe an opportunity? Race relations in our country, for example, have been bad since the very beginning. And a lot of people have just ignored it and thought, it's okay, or it's not that big of a deal or whatever. So this is an opportunity for people to really understand just how serious things are. And then when we understand how serious things are, maybe we can do something about it. I mean, the books right now that are flying off the shelves, White Fragility and How to Be an Anti-Racist, I think that I see that as an encouraging sign, because that means people are willing to listen. And I think the most people that are buying those books are not Black people. They are white people that want to understand more about what's going on. Coronavirus is exposing some weaknesses in our system. I mean, we can see it's impacting Black and brown people at a much, much higher rate. So I think that's a good thing, is people are going to look at that and say, what can we do differently to take care of people, not just during these times, but during all times? A lot of the essential workers are people of color. They live in multi-generational housing, so they're coming home, the kids, and exposing the grandparents. They don't have, a lot of people don't have insurance. There are so many people right now who don't have access to health insurance because they're dependent on their employer to provide their insurance, and now they don't have their job. And so maybe, a few years ago when we talked about health insurance and how it's tied to employment, it was a theoretical thing. And now it's very real to people. And they realize, and if you look at COBRA, when you look at the cost of COBRA, is most people that are living paycheck to paycheck to begin with, when they lose their job, even though they're supposedly offered this insurance called COBRA, which is a continuation of what your employer is paying, but you have to pay the whole thing now. A lot of people realize they can't afford it. And so they're going without health insurance. I just talked to someone just a few days ago who's in a situation where they're taking care of an elderly family member who's immunocompromised. So they decided that they're not going to work, and this person was working for benefits while their spouse was self-employed. So I know exactly how that feels. And this person's saying, we can't afford health insurance. So they're going out right now, which is a big risk and a big stressor. So I do want to say that, someday this will come to an end. Someday we'll either get back to a new normal, or we'll get back to normal or adjust to a new normal. And I think we will address a lot of these things. I'm very optimistic that things will be addressed. I think we're going to have to address healthcare. And I think people are going to really push hard for that. I think we're going to see basically a revolt that people or that citizens are going to say, we need to have healthcare. This needs to be a stable thing. We realize now that, we can't rely on the system we've had in the past. I see people addressing, racism. I taught the class Overcoming Racism, or I called it initially the Racial Reconciliation Experience. And I'll be teaching that again coming up soon, so look for an announcement on that. But the people that took it said it was very, very much needed and very much appreciated. These people would not have taken this class a year ago if I'd offered it. So I see people opening up their eyes and wanting to learn more. We've got a very, very important election coming up. I don't get political on this show in general, so I'm not going to tell you which way to vote, but I'm going to tell you that it's going to be different this time. We're going to have to make a plan to vote. A lot of us are going to have to vote by mail. I plan personally to vote early. I usually vote early anyway. So that's something we're going to have to do. That's going to be, maybe a little bit different for some of us. But the good news is we've got treatments that are coming along all the time. I saw a great article the other day about the coronavirus, and they did a supercomputer modeling to look at the virus, and they think they really understand it a lot better now, which is hopefully going to lead to some new treatments. We've got several vaccines in the pipeline. It's almost inevitable that one of those will be okay, and we should have a vaccine within 6 months at least, I think, hopefully. And maybe, we'll have to ride this thing out for too much longer. So we'll just have to see, how that goes. But I also want to say, if you're struggling, if you need help, reach out to somebody. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to reach out to me. I am a life coach. I do help people with grief, and a lot of us are in grief right now. I do offer a free half-hour consultation. So if you want to do that, just go to my page, grieftogrowth.com, and sign up for it. I'm here to help you in any way I can and support you in any way that I can. So that's it for today. That's the episode where your host is the guest. I hope it was okay for you guys. I've got some great guests coming up. I'm gonna get back to the guests, probably next week. Just like I said, it's kind of a scheduling thing for this week. But that was a good time to take a pause and talk about some of these things that might be on your mind. So feel free to reach out to me by email at brian@grieftogrowth.com if you have any comments. If you have any guests you want to see, I've got the mic and I'm just talking here. If you have any guests that you want to see on the program that you think would be great, let me know about that and I'll see if I can get them on. So again, thanks for listening and you guys have a great day. Well, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I want to make it really easy for you to reach me. So just send me a text to 31996 and simply text the word growth, GROWTH. In fact, you can right now just say, "Hey Siri," send a message to 31996, and when Siri asks you what you want to send, just say growth. You can do the same thing with OK Google. Thanks a lot. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for listening to Grief to Growth. Brian hopes that you find this episode helpful and will come back for future episodes. Brian's best-selling book, Grief to Growth, Planted Not Buried, is a great resource for anyone who is coping with grief or knows someone who is. If you enjoy the podcast and would like to support it, there are 3 things you can do to help. The first is to share the podcast with someone that you think it will help. The second is to go to iTunes, rate, and review the episode. The third way you can support the podcast is by becoming a patron. Head over to www.patreon.com/grief2growth. That's patreon.com/grief, the number 2, growth, and sign up to make a small monthly donation. Patrons get access to exclusive bonus content and knowledge that you are helping to spread the message of grief to growth. For more about Brian and Grief to Growth, visit www.grief2growth.com.
Hi there. I hope you enjoyed this latest episode of the podcast, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. What questions came up for you? What did you like about it? What didn't you like about it? I invite you to visit us at grieftogrowth.circle.so. That's grief, the number 2, growth.circle.so to continue the conversation with me and with other listeners. It's a space to sound off, to share reactions, and to go deeper into the topics from the show. I look forward to chatting more, and I hope to see you there.